Oh my gosh, you guys, something incredible has happened. And I have been freaking out about it for days. Okay. So, if you don't know, John DeLynn is a podcaster. He does a podcast called Mormon Stories, which when I was first leaving, I was like, oh, I'm not listening to that. Like, I don't want to hear about Mormon stories. But it follows a lot of ex-Mormon stories. I do believe he interviews some Mormons, but it's a lot of like ex-Mormon stories. And they helped me so much. And it was, again, when I first left, I felt really lonely and I didn't have that community, which is why I have reached out on social media platforms so strongly, because I wanted to find people like me, and I wanted to find people who were lonely in their decision to leave like I was. Anyways, so he is like ex-Mormon royalty to me. I was in my TikTok and I saw I had a message from him, and like my heart started beating so fast, and I was like, oh my god, like what is happening? And I was freaking out because I am just like a very small fish in a large ocean of amazing ex-Mormon content creators, and I literally am just like a normal average ex-Mormon, and nothing special about me besides the fact that I do a TikTok that is hysterical in my opinion. Anyways, and so I was writing him and he asked to interview me, and I freaked out. I texted my husband and I was like, oh my gosh, John DeLynn wants to interview me for Mormon Stories, and I'm freaking out because I don't think I'm that entertaining and I don't know what I'm gonna say. And I went back and forth honestly, like, do I want to do this? Do I not want to do this? What am I gonna say? Like, what's he gonna ask? I don't know. But I had some really sweet friends and family who was like, do it. Like, why are you even considering, like, that's amazing, do it. And so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be interviewed on Mormon Stories. And when this comes out, I think I'm gonna publish it when the actual episode comes out so you can go listen to it and hear what I say, and hopefully I don't sound like a buffoon because it's been really nerve-wracking. Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. Anyways, today is October 2nd, and I'm interviewing with him on October 10th, so almost a week away. And I am freaking out again. I am so nervous. I think it's gonna be good, but I don't know. Oh my God. I will vlog a little bit here and there, going through the process, and go listen if you are interested. I'll be back on the actual day probably, and after I interview, to update y'all. And welcome back! I was going through my old videos and realized I never actually finished filming about my experience on Mormon Stories. So I'm gonna do that now. The day came and I was so incredibly nervous, and I really was in my head about wanting to look good because I knew it was gonna be video and audio, and so I like tried to curl my hair. My hair has like a 50% success rate. Like 50% of the time I try and curl it, it will actually look good and I'll like it, and 50% of the time is trash. And I'll insert a little video clip I posted on my Instagram stories right now from this day. I'm here and my hair is so bad. Oh, it wasn't curly enough and I recurled it and now I look like Shirley Temple. So, I'm nervous. I'm excited. Pray for me. Ha 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 ha. So, I was feeling a little self-conscious about that. So, I walk in, I finally find it, I walk in, and the first thing I notice is John DeLynn is tall. Like, so tall. Like, he has me like a foot above me. I'm 5'5". I think he's like probably 6'4". So, about a foot taller than me. I felt really short, and it was also just like an outer body experience, like seeing him, because I'd watched, you know, so many Mormon stories and heard his voice and seen him, and it was just like, you're a real person, like you exist outside of my phone screen. It was so crazy. And I will say I was so incredibly nervous. I didn't think I would be for some reason, but my heart was pounding so hard. My biggest complaint was that my mouth dried up. Like, it was the Sahara Desert in my mouth. I felt self-conscious of the fact that you would be able to like hear my tongue sticking around in my mouth as I talk. I felt it was just me being like, because that's how it felt. And I kept trying to like take sneaks of my water, but the camera was on me a lot. Like it was an interview about me, not to self like conceited. And so like whenever the camera would sneak over to John, I was like, chugging water. So you can like hear the water bottle, I swear, every time it's on John, because I was dying. I was dying. It was so healing being on Mormon Stories in a way I didn't think it would be, because no one sits you down and is like, hey, like, tell me your whole experience. Like, let me see the pieces that led to this moment. Like, you tell believing members that you left and the conversation's over. No one asks why and no one wants to hear it. And there's so much pain and trauma involved in being Mormon and then in leaving it and recognizing all the ways the church hurt you. So it was very healing to be able to just lay out my story and tell it beginning to end. And John was such a gracious host, you guys. And, you know, my experience with John was nothing but positive. He was super respectful. He was a great listener. He made me feel really comfortable. He helped me be less nervous eventually. And I just felt like he was able to help me tell my story in such a great way. And I was so grateful and humbled to be part of that legacy. Mormon Stories is this epic, amazing thing that has helped so many people, including myself, and now I get to have a small part of that legacy, and that is just an unbelievable gift. And I'm so grateful that John Dehlin even knew who I was and reached out to me. That being said, there are some regrets, and none of them have to do with John or Mormon Stories. That part was perfect. But I will say, going on Mormon Stories, which was my personal choice, and I made it as an adult. There was no coercion, there was no begging. It was just like, sure, I'll do it. It fucked up my life. I wish I would have known before I went on that it would fuck my life up so hard. And again, that's not John's fault. I didn't realize my believing family was going to watch it. And I say that because, again, in Mormonism, people tend not to want to hear anything negative about the church. And so I assumed, silly me, that my family and close friends would not watch my interview. And so many of them did. And if you also follow me on TikTok, then you know my TikTok is very, very, very controversial at best and kind of downright mean at worst. And so having my entire family find it, like basically at the same time, it wasn't like a person here and a person there. It was like everybody was traumatizing. It was terrible. It was some of the most painful, terrible experience of my life. The things people said to me, the things people said about me, it was just really, really terrible and really, really hard. I actually posted a video on TikTok about it, so that's what you're seeing here on this side of me. I still have family members not talking to me, and I can't really say a lot about it. I've had a lot of backlash about talking about family relationships on social media. So I'm trying really hard, even harder than I was, to respect people's feelings and boundaries and not say things. But I will say that family relationships have suffered, and it's not Mormon Stories' fault. I always knew with my TikTok and the amount of momentum it gained that eventually people I loved were gonna see it. Like, it was kind of inevitable. So I mean, even if I hadn't gone on Mormon Stories, I feel like I'd be facing the same situation, just at a different time. But I definitely didn't see that coming, so that was cool. And my other regret, again, this is just me, is when I did Mormon Stories, I hadn't even been out of the church a year, and my TikTok was, I started at the end of June, and I did Mormon Stories in October, so it was very new still. And I feel like if I could do Mormon Stories now where I sit, I could express myself so much better and just have a clearer idea of who I am. I remember some of the questions John would ask me and just being like, I don't know. Like, I was still in that very beginning stage of my journey where I was still trying to figure out who I was outside of Mormonism. I mean, I still was discovering, you know, how I felt about everything in the world and all these things that had always been off limits that now were suddenly on the table. And so I do wish I would have waited maybe and done it in a couple months, but at the same time, I am glad that I was captured in that more raw and vulnerable part of my journey that I was at that point. So again, even my regrets are a toss-up. I don't know if they're really regrets, but they are things I think about. Overall, again, like I said, John Dehlin was great. I had a blast telling my story. It was so validating to just be able to sit there and tell my whole story to a group of people who understand and who have been there. I'm so grateful if you've gone and watched the 3 hours of me talking about my Mormon story. I appreciate it so much. And if you've reached out, even better. Hearing someone say, I understand, or you helped me, or I get that, is so comforting, especially when facing, you know, hard family and friend relationships where they don't get it and they don't understand. Anyways, that was it. It was something else. The video will come up as like suggested for me on YouTube, and it's just every time I see my face, I can't believe I did that. Like, me from a year ago compared to now, it's just, I have grown and changed and had these amazing experiences and met the most incredible people. Like, I still have moments where I just am like, this is my life. This is insanity. I went from being very Molly Mormon to now having, you know, 125,000 followers on TikTok, doing ex-Mormon, like anti-Mormon content. That is, makes my head spin because it was fast. The whole process felt very fast to get to here. But anyways, you guys, if you haven't yet, subscribe to my channel. If you have any other further questions about what it's like to be on Mormon Stories or anything else, drop them down below and I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.